All right, Kelly and Dana's here. We can start. So before we start, I want to tell you I have something special for you guys if you want to participate. July 13th, which is a Sunday, I'm going to do a pool party barbecue for you, this group right here, at my house. So from one to six, you're all invited. Next week, I need a head count. Like you could bring your kids and whoever you want to bring. I just gonna need some type of head count. Um, it's in Norman, my house. Yeah. So just so you know, if you're bringing kids, my pool goes from 4 feet to 6 feet. So you need to watch the kids. Yes. It's deep.
Yeah.
There's one part that's like over my head.
So or no. To you.
But everybody's welcome. Anyway, so you're all invited for that if you want to come. Okay. Okay. So I'll give you guys my address next week. All right. So we finished up the ninth step. We're kind of winding down now. Probably about 4 or 5 more weeks we'll be done. So we're going to talk about. I think I shared with you last week that I kind of studying the book. I kind of came across something that I never heard anybody share before, and I didn't know anything about it. And as I was studying the steps, I was studying the ninth step, and I was going over the ninth step promises, and it just kind of popped into my head like so I counted the promises, and the first time I counted them, if I remember right, there was 14 or 15 promises there. And I wrote them all down. And then I said, oh, wait, this one actually goes with this one. This is part of this one. And so I rewrote them and I counted them again, and there were 12. And I started getting a notion that, wait a minute, I think that's a coincidence that there's 12. And what I've come across since then, and this is a long time ago, so you might have heard it before because I've been sharing it for over 20 years now, but nobody's ever shared it before me that I know of. I found a thing in our system here, in our book, that allows you to check yourself wherever you're at in your program of recovery, and you can immediately find the problem. So let's go over to page 83. 83, the bottom of the page. We're going to read the 9-step process. Okay. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We'll comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. So let's go back over that, and I'm going to number them for you. You might want to write this in your book. So back on page 83, the first one would be, we're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. That's number 1. Number 2, we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Number 3, we will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. Number 4, no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. Number 5, that feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Number 6, we will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Number 7, self-seeking will slip away. Number 8, our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Number 9, fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. Number 10, we will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Number 11, we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Skip down a few sentences. Number 12 is they will always materialize if we work for them. Now that we have it narrowed down to 12, I think it's fair to say that each one of these will correspond with the same numbered step. So at any point in your recovery, if you want to see where you're lacking and what's going on with you, all you have to do is this. You ask yourself, right here, right now, do I know a new freedom and a new happiness? Right here, right now, well, do I regret the past and wish to shut the door on it? Right now, do I comprehend the word serenity and know peace? And you do this right down through all 12 of them. If you answered negative to any one of them, look at the step that it corresponds with. For instance, let's say number 3, we will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. And right now, I don't comprehend the word serenity and I'm not feeling peace. Well, go to number 3. The third step says, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Probably playing God. Probably not turning nothing over. Which would be why. And I shared with you when we first started that the steps, none of these steps were ever written to do one step. It's a 12-step program. But this is a good guide to see where you're off. And if you could do this with every one of them, like let's say number 9, fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. The 9th step said, make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. If I have fear of people and economic insecurity, I probably need to make amends, maybe even a financial amends. All right. So each one of these things correspond with the step. And if I look at that, I can see where I'm off base. You follow me with this?
Yes.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Makes perfect sense to me. I've been using it for many years, and it's a great guide to say, hey, wait a minute, this is where I'm off. This is what I need to look at. Every one of these, all 4 of them work perfectly like that. So I was kind of amazed because I never heard anybody talk about it like that. Yeah. But it works. Each one of these. Even the 12th one. They will always materialize if we work for them. All right, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps. Number 7 is a real obvious one. Self-seeking will slip away. If self-seeking has not slipped away from me right here, right now, then what do I have to do? Well, humbly ask him to remove our shortcoming. And you can see the correlation there. Okay. So anyway, that's my great revelation, my contribution to this. So anybody got any questions on that before we move on? Okay. So the steps 1, 2, 3 get me right with God. 4, 5, 6 get me right with self. 7, 8, 9 gets me right with others. 10, 11, 12 helps me stay right with God, self, and others. And I always say jokingly that 1, 2, 3 was give up, 4, 5, 6 was own up, 7, 8, 9 was make up, and 10, 11, 12 was grow up. That works just fine also. Okay, so any questions on steps 8 and 9 before we move on at all? Anybody have a question? We didn't go very deeply into the ninth step, but the big book covers just about every type of amends you have to make. So, but anybody need to talk about something there?
Can you repeat what's 7, 8, 9? Right with others. I don't get right with others. That makes sense.
Yeah, can you repeat the whole
No,
thing?
right.
I'm with you.
On which one you talking about? The no, 1, 2,
One is
3.
God.
That's where.
One is God. 2 and 3 is yourself. It's you.
Well, you didn't say that.
1, 2, 3 gets you right with God. 1, 2, 3 gets you right with God. 4, 5, 6 gets you right with self. 7, 8, 9 gets you right with others. 10, 11, 12 helps you stay right with God, self, and others. And then the other one was 1, 2, 3 was give up. 4, 5, 6 was own up. 7, 8, 9 was make up. 10, 11, 12 was grow up. Like that. Okay. So now we're on page 84. And we're down at the second paragraph. It says, this thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our call. So the first thing I want to say then here is that the common thought about step 10 is to go home and do a nightly review and do an inventory, right? And really the step 10 is not really about writing. It's about awareness all through the day. Because look what it says here. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. So throughout the day is when I'm supposed to be doing this 10 step. Yeah, you can do an inventory at nighttime. That's fine. But if you just do an inventory at nighttime and you're not aware of during the day, you're going to put more to inventory at nighttime than if you weren't doing that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially those Walmart people. So I think that's important. And it says we vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past. We've entered the world of the spirit. What is the world of the spirit? There's so many people in the rooms that have read this a million times and they talk about, but they can't define this. What is the world of the spirit? The world of the spirit is the place and time that whatever's happening here on earth, I'm able to take the God that I found in steps 2 and 3, and I'm able to bring that God into what's happening right here and right now. It's the ability to bring God into the situation, whatever's happening to me at the moment.
Bring our God.
Yeah, so it's the ability to get to the place where we could bring God into it, into my whatever activity is going on. So if you can do that, you are in the world of the spirit. If you don't do that, you're not in the world of the spirit. You're in your world.
Living in the moment.
Yeah. Living in the moment, which is good, but living in the moment without God is not good. Yeah. Yeah. So then it says our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. Do you remember I gave you that little thing, knowledge plus practice, way back early, and I said we're going to come across it again. That knowledge plus practice. It was in the first time was in how it works.
The understanding and the effectiveness part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, back on page 58, they're naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living. And I said that knowledge plus practice, knowledge is grasping, developing is practicing it. And then I said later we're going to come across this again. And here it is here. The next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. Understanding is the knowledge, effectiveness is the practice of that. So knowledge plus practice equal learning. Learning changes character. Character changes the way we live. So he says this is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. That sentence, I know a lot of people in the rooms of recovery that need to read that sentence. Because they worked the steps 20 years ago and ain't doing shit since then. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Now, when was the first time we looked for those four things? The fourth step. Right. You see, this is the first time we're coming across a step that's really nothing new. There's nothing new about this 10th step. Well, this 10th step is 4 through 9 on a regular daily basis. So continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, 6 and 7, all right, we ask God at once to remove them. Now, a lot of people mixed up those words there. They think it says we ask God to remove them at once. It doesn't say that. It says we ask God at once to remove them. We don't ask God to remove them at once. That would be us running the show telling God what to do. But the thing that you need to know here is it's telling us to quickly go to God with this. Whatever's going on, bring it to God right away. So when these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately, 5th step, right? And make amends quickly if we've harmed anyone. That's the 8th and 9th step. So right there you have 4 through 9, and then you have 10 and 11. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. 11 and 12. And love and tolerance of others is our code. So, and then this is the second set of promises. It says, and we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time, sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we find that this has happened automatically. We see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That's the miracle of it. We're not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We've not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor we are afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. Now, back somewhere, I think like on page 42, we were pretty hopeless and helpless, weren't we?
Yeah.
And now, on page 84 and 85, Or page 44, I think was talking about how hopeless we were. And then on 84. So there's 40 pages here. And in these 40 pages, people come in a hopeless, helpless state. And by the time they get here, they're safe and protected. And the miracle has happened for them. That they're not fighting it. They're not avoiding temptation. You've been given this attitude toward liquor without any thought or effort on your part. It just comes. That's the miracle of it. Right? So it's a gift, right? It's been given us. It's a gift. When it says right there, it's been given us, that means it's a gift. And the miracle is that it's just there. That's the miracle. It's just there. It wasn't there before. It's there now. It says we feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. Wow, what a miracle! Because I don't know about you, but most of us coming here never felt safe and protected. The miracle has happened. Now it says it's easy to let up on a spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. Does everybody know the definition of the word laurels? That's one of the ones that I had to look up because I never even heard the word before I got sober. Laurels. I thought they were talking about some woman.
Glory.
In a nutshell, it's about being satisfied with what somebody has already achieved. Right? And so you'll rest on those laurels, being satisfied with what you have achieved. It says we're headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We're not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve. So my alcoholism is only suppressed. What we have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Now, this is another sentence that people get twisted. Okay? Your daily reprieve is not contingent on your spiritual condition. I'll say that again for you. Your daily reprieve is not contingent on your spiritual condition. Like a lot of people run around the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous wondering how spiritual they are. Do I sound spiritual when I share? Was that spiritual? No. Do I look spiritual? People are worried about how spiritual. It's kind of like the early alcoholic that comes in, right, and talks about I'm not sure if I'm alcoholic. I'm not. I'm sitting on the fence. We talked about that early in this thing. There is no fence, and you're either normal people don't ever sit around going, I wonder if I'm alcoholic. They know they're not, and there's nothing to discuss. Well, people that are spiritual is the same respect. They don't ever have to question their spirituality. They know that they're spiritual. They know they're living a spiritual life, and there's nothing to question. So the emphasis of this sentence is not about your spiritual condition. It's about the maintenance. It's about the maintenance. And the maintenance is about doing the work. And let's go even further, because it's not about, maintaining. That's not what maintenance means in this respect. It's not about maintaining. It's about the maintenance, about doing the work. The work is about growing spiritually, not maintaining what I have. I don't want to be where I was 30 years ago spiritually. That wasn't so spiritual. I thought it was at the time. I was like 4 years sober. I thought, I got this shit. No, I really didn't. See, so this 10th step is not about your spiritual condition, and it's not about maintaining that. Yeah, it's only contingent upon the work that I do for my sobriety. If I'm continuously growing spiritually, I'm doing the maintenance. If I'm stagnant, maintaining, I'm not growing spiritually, that's not what the work is. So now we're going to talk about some stuff here. Like Bill writes about the fourth dimension of existence. I think we covered that before. And in the fourth step, we learned about the three basic instincts. That was very important, right? And now we're going to talk about the three dimensions of existence. Everything exists on these three dimensions: physical, mental, spiritual. Not in any particular order, but all things in the world, in the universe, exist in these three dimensions. So again, not in any special order, but the first dimension is the dimension of the spirit. And what that means is that God dwells in us, all of us. So we're going to have to live with God whether we like it or not. The only question is, will we live with God in harmony or disharmony? And I don't know any class of people that's more separated from God than us alcoholics, really. So when it comes to the dimension of the spirit, we need to do something about that. The next dimension is the mental dimension. And we all have a mind, a brain. Sometimes we act like we don't, but we do. So the question is, do we live with our mind, our brain in harmony or disharmony? Bless you. And I don't know any class of people more fouled up in their heads than us alcoholics. So we have a brain. We're going to have to live with that brain. So do we need to do that in harmony or disharmony? The third dimension is the physical dimension. And we normally think that means that it deals with the body. But it really means that we deal with the world and everything in it. We don't have any other place to live but here on earth. So the question is, in this physical world, are we going to live in harmony or disharmony? And again, I don't know any class of people that's ever been more screwed up about in the relationships to the world than people like us alcoholics. So these steps are designed for living that put us back together in all three dimensions, the way God initially intended us to be. And Bill talks about the fourth dimension, which really doesn't exist. What he meant by that was recovery is so good, it's all three dimensions and then some. Yes.
Goes back to something you mentioned at the very beginning. I was recently at a meeting, since that was the subject, the lead. And it really quickly went into written nightly reflections of the day and everything, and then it went into meditation and I was just really confused. While we talking about the 10 stuff. So where does this come from? Where does
That's a great question. That's a great question. So, in the 12 and 12, in step 10, it tells us to look at our day ahead, and it tells us at nighttime to write down, to look at the day that what just spent. That's the 10th step in the 12 and 12. Well, the 11th step in the big book tells us the same thing. Right? And so it's a little bit confusing. Because the 11th step in the 12 and 12 in the big book tells us the same thing that the 10th step in the 12 and 12 tells us. Not word for word, but basically that's what it's saying here, and this is what it's saying here. So what would be the difference between the 10th step and the 11th step? Take a guess.
What would be the ten?
There is.
The direction between the 10th step in the 12 and 12 and the same direction of the 11th step in the big book. What's the difference?
But it seems to be more about, like you said, where during the day, how we might be impacting people and maintaining that awareness at night.
Yeah.
11 step seems to me to be about creating that conscious contact with God through our.
Here's the answer. The direction in the 12 and 12 in step 10 is it's a mental exercise. It's it's a mental exercise. The same directions in the 11th step in the big book is a spiritual exercise. Because now I'm bringing God into this. Before, over here in the 10th step, I'm not bringing God into it. I'm using my brain. And, in our literature, it says God gave us brains, use it, right? So this here is a mental exercise. It's taking a look at, I could look at one thing, right? Kind of what I wrote up here. Without God, I can't. Without me, he won't. So if I stay with this direction, I can't. But if I go to this direction, I can. But if I don't participate, he won't. So does that make sense to you? Yeah. Yeah.
Or not. The pause. Is that 10th step or is that like, that's just still, so that's why I started my first answer to the question. It sounds like we're doing both, like where the 10th step and bringing God into meditation.
Well, if you do your prayer and your meditation, right, and you're looking at your day ahead, and you looked at, how you were at nighttime and how you were, and you're doing that with God, right? Then the chances of you, having to pause and pausing for, pause means, it doesn't mean fucking break down, it's, it's just a pause, right? It's not like you don't fall apart, right? Because you're spiritually fit and you're able to, if you've entered the world of the spirit, then when something goes on, you pause. This is a pause. Oh my God, calling my sponsor, calling everybody. Oh my God, that's not a pause. Okay? That is not spiritually fit.
So can I read like the 10 and 11 prayers out loud for everyone? Okay, so on 10, on this prayer sheet that I have, it says, God, remove the selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear that has cropped up in my life right now. Help me to discuss this with someone immediately and make amends quickly if I have harmed anyone. Help me to cease fighting anything and anyone. Show me where I may be helpful to someone else. Help me react sanely, not cocky or afraid. How can I best serve you? Your will, not mine, be done. And then in 11, it says, God, I am agitated and doubtful right now. Help me to stop and remember I've made a decision to let you be my God. Give me the right thoughts and actions. God, save me from fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions, that your will, not mine, be done.
Well, there are similar.
So I'll just say what I said in the meeting, maybe wrong, but I said, I can't sit down and do my 11th step prayer and meditation if I've got something on my heart where I've harmed somebody and I know it. Like, I don't feel at peace to be able to do that. So-
Right, and that's where you take care of that in the 10th step.
Right, so I feel like the 10th has to come before 11.
Oh, yeah, it certainly does.
Like, if I'm wrong.
Unless you have a clock like that that says 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5, 4, 5. No, it's always 10 always goes before 11. Yeah. 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So, so hopefully we'll be able to tie all this together. And so some of the things I might want to ask myself in the 10th step intellectually is, am I being selfish? Am I being self-seeking? Am I being dishonest? Am I being inconsiderate? Am I being fearful? So it's not really about something we do before we go to bed at night. It's about as we go through the day, ask myself these things. Do you remember the four absolutes? Yeah, but if you remember them, good. So this is a good place. This is a good place. You don't remember the four absolutes? Okay. Absolute unselfishness, absolute love,
Honesty, purity, unselfishness, love. I have notes. I took notes.
so, and each of them have a sentence that goes with it.
Yes.
And this is a perfect opportunity in the 10th step to ask myself, is whatever I'm talking about, is it true? How will it affect others? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Great things to ask myself. So you can't do the 10th step the way the book says to do it and remain the same. You just can't. Your relationship with God, yourself, and others get better and better. The lasting freedom from alcohol has its price, and so does happiness we want in sobriety. That price is eternal vigilance and taking inventory. And the three biggest areas to watch for are, you might want to write this down. 1, thoughts and motives. 2, words. 3, actions. So thoughts and motives, words, and actions. Now, why is it so important to look out for those things? All of them get me in trouble. All of them get me in trouble.
I want something a certain way.
Huh?
I will make it happen.
They're related because all three of them get me in trouble. Yeah. That's why I need to be diligent about watching over for those things, And then when you find out like anger, right? Anger isn't necessarily related to what other people said or do. It really grows out of my own fears and anxieties and feelings of insecurity. It's much more comfortable to deal with these thoughts and feelings before they're expressed. Hence the 10th step. I want to do this stuff right away. That promptly admitted it is very important. We want to get to admitting our faults right away. Otherwise, interest grows on the feelings. It's negative interest. Because this is about getting sober. It's not about getting better. Some people are sober for quite some time and haven't gotten any better. Sober a long time and still pretty sick. And then some people just get a little better. Right? So the trouble with thinking that we're going to get better is that drunks like us can never get better enough. You can't. It's always, I'll be better when I lose 20 pounds, or, when I turn 50 years old, or whatever it is, when I get that right job, that right, when, the list goes on and on. And when you get close to the finish line, you usually move. That's what people like us do. We move the finish line all the time. That's why they said it's about progress, not perfection. So step 10 is about progress, not perfection. We got a tendency to travel too fast, people like us. Nosebleed speed. Busy getting better. I'm so busy getting better that I forgot to be where I'm at. And this time, the first time the big bad wolf comes and huffs and puffs, he blows your house down. Because you've been too busy getting better. When people start talking about how they need to get better at this or better at that, what they're really saying is they're not okay at this moment, who they are and where they are. Now, I could be okay this moment and look to improve on something that's a little bit different than trying to get better, right? So the intellect is not the weapon of choice for people like us. Since life is essentially learning by doing, and only to a very small degree learning by watching or learning by reading, learning by thinking, not really. So the only way we're ever going to learn something, the things we need to know, is by being put in situations where we'll have to learn by doing, right? Knowledge plus practice equals learning. Learning changes character. Character changes the way we live. So if you're busy being right all the time and whatever it is you're thinking about, you probably believe your idea is the best one, is a good one. So it's about doing, not thinking, right? Okay. Anybody got any questions on this 10-step stuff?
They were saying the written parades more step 11.
No, you could do it. You could do a written 10-step at nighttime. But if you've been diligent during the day as you go along through the day, and you have did you pass the baskets?
Yeah, I was going to at 30.
Oh, okay. And if you're able to be in the world of the spirit, then at nighttime you don't really have much to write down. I can't tell you, not that I haven't done anything that needs to be, that was perfect, but I can't tell you last time I did a written 10-step at night. It's got to be at least 25 years ago. There's no need for me to do that. I try to live correctly today, best I can. Yeah, it have to be. So again, the four absolutes then are, you should write them down if you don't have them handy for you. Absolute purity, absolute honesty, absolute unselfishness, absolute love. Absolute purity means, is it right or wrong? Absolute honesty, is it true or false? Absolute unselfishness, how will it affect others? And absolute love, was it ugly or was it beautiful? Yeah. Absolute purity is it right or is it wrong? Absolute honesty, is it true or is it false? Absolute unselfishness, how will it affect others? And absolute love, is it ugly or is it beautiful? And the four absolutes are great tools to deal with everyday situations as they pop up. Because if you answer to the negative of any one of the four of them, don't do what you're thinking of doing, or stop doing what you're already doing.
So I have a
Go ahead.
So in the 12 on 10, it says, although all inventories are alike in principle, the time factor does distinguish one from another. There is a spot check inventory, which we talked about, taken at any time of the day whenever we find ourselves getting tangled up. There is one that we take at day's end when we review the happenings of the hours just past. Here we cast up a balance sheet, which talked about, and then the debts that were due. Then there are those occasions when alone or in the company of our sponsor or spiritual advisor, we make a careful review of our progress since the last time. So I've personally used like inventories when I see things when I'm doing my a review at the end of the night. If I'm seeing things like it's saying, I see it over and over, a pattern essentially, right? And if I see that pattern continually happening time after time, then I sit with my sponsor and we talk about those and we really dig in more on them.
The inventories that they're mentioning there in 12 are the different types of 10-step inventories.
Uh-huh.
So they're all more or less on the mental capacity. And that's good. There's a lot of good stuff in here, but you have to also remember one thing. We don't work steps out of the
Yeah.
12 and 12.
It was an afterthought.
Yeah, no,
After.
yeah. So when this in the 11th step, when it talks about to do looking at those things, that's the directions. This is not the directions here. You want to simply put it like that.
Extracurricular activities.
So what we've done by the time we get to the 10th step is we've done 1 through 9, obviously, right? And we don't get any real growth out of identifying the problem at step 1. We get some, or finding a solution in step 2, and step 3, making that decision. And we don't get any real growth from making that decision, just some. All the real growth comes from 4 through 9. As we practice these steps over and over, we learn more about ourselves. We see more and more character defects, and we discuss them with someone else in step 5. We'll learn more and more, and we ask them to, we ask God to remove them, and they become less and less, and we make amends to other people. Our relationship with other people will grow better and better. Now, if you're working the steps on something other than alcohol and drugs, then everything is important. But so what they're asking us to do in step 10 is 4 through 9 on a regular basis. Anybody got any questions about all of that stuff? We've got some time here.
I do like this paragraph right above step 11.
We've got 10 minutes.
Right on 85.
85.
Up to the step 11. It talks about that, how, to some extent, we have become God conscious. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him.
Yeah, look what it says though. If we have carefully followed directions and we've begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us, to some extent we have become God conscious. So if you didn't follow the directions, they're not talking to you. Yeah. Yeah, and what the book is calling it, as we've begun to develop this vital sixth sense. Right, we've talked about the uh the three basic instincts. We talked about the dimensions, and so there's instincts too, right? I think there's five of them, right? Five instincts. But so he says that, well, we must go further, and that means more action. So what we're looking to do now is we're looking to get into the 11th step, which I really don't want to start today. So has anybody got any questions or want to talk about something? Well, in third grade, they probably gave you a piece of paper like with a dog, a cat, a cow, and a car. It said circle the one that doesn't belong or don't fit, right? You have that in the third grade? Yes. That's kind of been like my whole life. Like, circle circle myself because I certainly don't fit in this damn, Richard.
That's because it's so big.
Yeah, Well, the one reason is that there's certain steps in here that Bill asked people, like step two. I don't even ever want to read step two in the 12 and 12 because how Bill wrote step two in the 12 and 12 is he asked a bunch of people what their opinions were on the second step, and that's what he put in there. So, but the one thing you have to realize is that in 1935, when they started AA, right, and 39 when they came out with the first edition, that they had ratified the 12 steps, right? And the 12 and 12, I think in the conference in 1950 was ratified to be AA approved material, right? So that means that basically 15 years we had steps, not this stuff. No. So there is some great information in here, and I think our most profound writing is in 6 and 7 in this book. But the reason that he wrote this book, this is a little history for you. The one reason that he wrote this book was, first of all, they needed money, and he wanted to promote the 12 traditions. And so he expanded a little bit on the steps, because in 6 and 7, he wanted to expand more, didn't want to go back and touch the big book. So he wrote that, and that's the best writing that's some profound writing. Yeah. And so his motive, though, was to promote the 12 traditions and to make money. So if we can come out with another book, we'll make money, because they needed money. So that was the intent of that when they did that. So we work the steps out of the 12, out of the big book, and we go to the 12 and 12 for some guidance and some inspiration here and there, because there is some good stuff in there. You just got to be careful of who it's coming from. I think today that for me, when I go to the 12 and 12, first step, I think the most influential ones are 6, 7, and 11, and 4, 6, 7, and 11 are real strong, powerful steps that Bill wrote all by himself. And the other steps are good, but he had other people write stuff in there.
Gonna hurt
It's not going to hurt you. Not going to hurt you, but they might contradict what they're telling us here, as an example of what we talked about with the 10th step. Yeah. So you'll find that a few times throughout here, different areas. So, but yeah, the main reason was they wanted to promote the 12 traditions and they needed money. And Bill wanted to expand on 6 and 7, and he didn't want to go back and change the big book.
Man, person who's not educated enough is looking for one thing to criticize us about.
Well, could you imagine 80 alcoholics sitting around
Giving opinions?
giving their opinions on it? It's like, forget about 80. Let's just take us, right? If I say, okay, guys, we're gonna write a new big book, all of us here. Oh, we wind up killing each other. You know,
This is a practical matter. If they're on the ninth step, like the ninth step and the 12 aren't nearly as rich as the ninth step. Like much more
yeah,
deep.
Yeah.
And I still ask them to read it, but I tell them.
yeah. Just about every amends you have to make is covered in here. To be honest with you, I'm not even sure what this one says in step 9. I mean, I know I've read it before, but not often. I'm a big fan of the 12 and 12 in steps 4, 6, 7, and 11. Love it. The rest of the book, I don't need it. All right. So, yes. Okay. See, you see, somebody got to beat you. That's what I mean. Okay. When you were in the 2nd grade. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. See you next week.